Welcome to episode number 5 of To the Mun and Beyond. So this is TGC2, attempt number 2 on the revised version of this particular rocket. We're going to try and launch again. So what I'm doing here is I'm just literally setting a target. Just for the sheer reason of having something to aim at, that's all. I have no intention or actual confidence that I'll be able to get to the Mun, which is what I'm aiming for at the minute. But you'll see on the reticle that the nav ball at the bottom, the pink outline is our target, which is the Mun. Throttle up, and off we go. We have liftoff. So we're going with our revised version this time of 3 engines compared to 4 that we had in the first version of TGC2, and had the winglets, and it was unstable. Didn't realise that until we got up in the air, but it was unstable. So we're up at 1700 metres in the sky. We're going well, we're at full throttle and going quite nicely. Fuel's burning off okay, plenty left at this moment. That's 3000 metres. Having a quick look around, not a bad line up in the air, I think, from the launch pad, which is that down there. All going well. Waiting now to get up so we can get high enough to the turn, which I tend to do between sort of 9 and 11,000 metres. I've just a lot of advice that's the best time to do it, is to wait until you get there. You're starting to reach out the atmosphere, there's less resistance obviously because of that, and it just makes turning simpler. So TGC2 going well so far. We have what I believe is enough fuel. It's burning away bit by bit, just throttled back there. Trying to keep the speed at the top of the nav bar there, you'll see that, at around about 160, 170 metres per second. That's the idea. So we're at 12,000 now, and we're just turning the ship around a little bit, trying to aim for that 90 degrees on the nav ball, which is just around about where the marker point is for the Mun. Now what I should have done is throttle back a bit more. That would have made it easier for me to do this, but I didn't. I was a bit of a fool. And you'll also see me come a cropper of my lack of understanding of staging. And there we go, speaking of staging, there goes the first one. So that was our 2 engine to help us get up to 20,000 metres up in the air. So we're well up into the atmosphere now and doing quite nicely actually. Throttle around about 1/3 and still climbing. Now you'll notice the ship is actually spinning. That was caused by the decouplers setting off and dropping the 2 external tanks and engines. It's not too much of a problem, but it was kind of annoying me, so I was trying to sort of correct it bit by bit and couldn't really get a handle on it, even with the SAS and my own little touch controls. It wasn't really coming back, so I kind of ignored it for a bit, to be honest with you, as it wasn't too much of an issue. So the fuel there you'll see is still going really well. Plenty of fuel left. And this is the view from Jebediah's little tub. And you can see there the spinning around is actually quite fast. If I'd stayed and looked at it long enough, you would have been able to see Kerbin from there, but I didn't look long enough. I actually missed it, which was stupid. You just can't get the astronauts these days. And there you go. There's me trying to correct the spin. Trying to work out where the stars are. I'm not bothered about direction because I know that the SAS is on and it's going to keep it there. You'll see the orbit kind of spinning round, and the orbit's getting higher and higher. We are climbing at this point, but we're not climbing that fast. We're kind of off the 90 degrees, and I think the spinning at this point was beginning to, well, to put it all off a little bit, really. But this is the idea of this one. Although I've set the Mun as a target, the idea is simply to attain an orbit around the planet. And that's what we need to do. So the way to do that is to get high enough that I can then add a manoeuvre onto my flight path, do a burn, get myself into a different attitude, and then a higher altitude above the planet of the surface of the planet. What? Even? I've been drinking. High enough altitude above the surface of the planet, so we could then maintain some kind of orbit, ideally a circular orbit around the planet, so that it looks nice and neat and tidy. It's just how they work, isn't it? Well, most of them work anyway. At least in this game they do. So we're climbing, and at this point I'm trying to work out where we're going, and kind of waiting to get a bit higher. What I didn't realise that by the time I'm doing this, I'm actually burning fuel, and probably not the best idea. What I should have been doing by now is throttling back, and as you're going to find out very soon in this, you'll see how that begins to affect. Never mind the fact that I still hadn't corrected my staging, and again I didn't realise this until, well in fact until what you'll see in episode number 6. I didn't realise this until then, and again, you know, I'm doing this commentary after it was recorded, so it's hindsight's a wonderful thing. Which makes me feel like a bit of an idiot doing this now, because I've realised how wrong I had it, and I look a bit silly. At least if I was recording the audio at that time, I'd just be enthusiastically stupid. It's kind of the way I can put it right now. So, fuel's still burning down. Now I'm looking at that fuel going, I've got plenty. I can do a burn to get myself into a planetary orbit around Kerbin, and I'll still have enough left in the smaller tank for the smaller engine and the command module to get me there. This is what I'm doing. I'm adding a manoeuvre here. Now this is just a very basic manoeuvre, going around the orbit, or trying to set an orbit around the planet. And you can make it bigger, smaller, as you can tell. I can kind of scoot it around a bit like I'm doing there, and just sort of fit it around the planet, because otherwise I'm going to go smack into the surface of the planet if I get it wrong, which is highly likely. Now, what I didn't realise at this point is I had set a manoeuvre point on my current arc, as in where the ship was going. What I hadn't done is actually given myself enough time to set the manoeuvre correctly within that arc, so that I could then actually pull off the manoeuvre and be ready to do it. So what you'll see on the nav ball there is you've still got the pink marker for the MUN. That blue marker coming round the nav ball in the orange part of the nav ball, pointing down to the planet, is orange. That blue part is the trajectory we need for our burn to get us into the orbit with the yellow line that I've just asked us to try and get to. Then you'll see at the bottom of that is a countdown. So that tells me how long I've got to wait until I can make that burn. Now it's always kind of best to make sure you're in the right position and pointing the right way before you start the burn, because otherwise you're going to end up looking like a bit of a fool. So what I should have been doing a long time ago before now is actually cutting the throttle, which I'd done a little bit ago. As you heard, the noise stopped. I should have been doing that well before now, because what I didn't realise is I've burnt off so much fuel trying to work out this manoeuvre that I've now got to a point where I haven't got enough fuel to get into the orbit. Spoiler alert. But you're going to see it in a second anyway. So now I'm waiting for that manoeuvre to happen. And that yellow bar on the right of the nav ball, that tells me in the meters per second I need to attain and how much of it I have left to get before I complete the manoeuvre. Now how quick you complete the manoeuvre is kind of critical, but it just depends on what orbit you end up with. If you wait too long, take too long, it goes wrong. There we go. So I'm now firing my my rocket, my engine, and I'm burning, trying to get that. It's getting to about halfway down. I'm trying to conserve for the fuel because I realise it's getting low, and then it stops. And now I'm going, wait a second, but the resource is telling me I've got plenty of fuel. What's happened is that large tanker underneath me has actually now expelled all its fuel. The fuel it's registering there in the resources is what's left in the small tank connected to the command module, which is then connected to the smaller engine hidden away within the separators. And this is where my staging is going to bite me in the ass. Now at this point I'm thinking, crap, what do I do? How do I get out of this? Okay, so I can't make that orbit. I'm going to cancel that manoeuvre. That's just not going to happen. I have no way of firing a rocket. It will not let me detach my stage to fire that rocket, which is where I am. So I'm effectively floating above the planet Kerbin, waiting for it to come down on the planet, because there is little else I can do. And it's at this point I am so frustrated, because I really thought I had it this time, because I'd got the fuel right, I'd got the ship design as basic as it is right, I believed, to get that orbit, and it wasn't happening. And I just wanted to smack the screen at this point, because it was just so annoying. I was so close. But as you can see on the staging there on the left hand side, you'll notice that I've got my engine there. There we go, and there's the rocket. Got my engine. I'm trying to work out where the staging is. I know I've got the decouplers. I know it's there. I fire it, and then it fires that. The reason for that is it was never going to get rid of its own, because the way I'd set up the staging, I had the decoupler separate, then I had the engine and the decoupler for the last stage, which just detached with the rest of it, set to go all in one group. That was wrong. What I should have done is set an individual stage for each bit. So, the stage for decoupling, next stage fire rocket, next stage decouple rocket when fuel tank is empty, leave command pod. I'd got that staging wrong. So, again, I didn't know this at the launch of TGC2 on this particular second test, but it was never going to work, unfortunately. And I'd burnt too much fuel, not realising what I was doing. I burnt too much fuel, getting to the point of working out my manoeuvre. So now we're re-entering into the Kerbin's atmosphere, burning up quite heavily. I'm going at a high rate of knots right here. That will start to slow down. Parachute deploys, and now we just come back down to the surface of the planet. I'm just accelerating time here just to, well, basically to get through it quickly. I take off the acceleration around about 700, I think it was. Just to avoid, there we go, just to avoid the game screwing up my physics on the parachute and ripping it away, because apparently that can happen sometimes. And then coming back on the dark side of Kerbin. Is that prophetic? I think it might be. Accelerate time again, get us back down to the planet. So there we go. We were so close. We were so close. I nearly had it then. But not quite. So frustrating as it is, it's time to go back to the drawing board for TGC2. And that is in the next episode.